It's time for Rabbi Minkowicz's Weekly Torah Lesson, a place where life's most difficult questions are answered. Here with his spiritual perspective and insight, Rabbi Minkowicz.
Welcome to our weekly Torah portion. This week's parsha is Parshas Chayei. Today's question we're going to be discussing is how to combat darkness, challenges, and struggles. So in this week's Torah portion takes place the first shidduch that's recorded in the Torah, where Avraham sends out his servant Eliezer to find a shidduch for Yitzchak. Yitzchak, as you can tell, you can imagine, was waiting for Eliezer to come back with his potential bride. And the Torah tells us something very interesting about Yitzchak. The Torah tells us that Vayetze Yitzchak lasuach basada. Yitzchak went out to pray in the field. And the Torah is specific, and it says, when did he go out? The Torah says he went out lifnos erev, before it became dark. And then the Torah tells us, Vayisa Einov, Yitzchak picks up his eyes, Vayar, and he sees, V'hine gemalim ba'im, and there were camels that were coming. So why is it that he noticed the camels versus noticing the person on the camel? So the Rebbe explains a fascinating concept, and he says as follows. There is morning, there is afternoon, in other words, towards evening, and then there is the evening. And the Rebbe explains like this. Morning, it's light, it's bright. What does that resemble? Kindness, you can see everything. Evening, it's already dark. That's more judgment. In other words, in the morning, you have the attribute of chesed, of kindness, which is paramount. And the evening is when you have the attribute of justice. When it's chesed, when it's kindness, we all enjoy life. When you have the evening, when it's judgment, then you know you have to do in a moment of judgment. But the Rebbe says the hardest moment and the most challenging moment is when you have the switch from chesed to gvura, when day is leaving and night is coming. Yitzchak realizes that lifnois erev, it's coming now, the transition between day and evening, between chesed and gvura. So now Yitzchak says now is the time to pray. Pray because that's where all the challenges take place in that transitional moment. So Yitzchak goes out to pray. What does he pray? He prays, obviously, he's waiting and he's nervous to make sure he gets a good shidduch. And he sees camels are coming. Why doesn't he look and see that there's a bride on there? So the Rebbe explains with a fascinating piece of Talmud. The Talmud in Tractate Brachot tells us that if somebody is sleeping and in his dream, he dreams of camels, so he should know that a serious judgment was against him, and the judgment was overcome, and he was saved from the judgment. So the Rebbe tells us that Yitzchak saw in this challenging moment, here lies the future of the Jewish people, who he's going to marry, who he's going to build a family, and Klal Yisrael will come from. So Yitzchak was nervous because it was the most challenging of times, and therefore he goes out and he prays. He prayed so strong, what happened? God blessed him that he was able to see camels, even though he was looking for his bride. But by seeing the camels first, he knew that all the obstacles and all the challenges and all the dangers was taken out of the way. And now he could enjoy a wife with true peace and true happiness. So to respond to the initial question, how do you combat darkness, struggles, and challenges? Learn from Yitzchak. In the most challenging times, go out for a few minutes and pray to God. And if you go and pray to God, just like Yitzchak was answered, same thing, each and every one of us, when we turn to God in prayer, God will take away all our challenges and we'll be blessed with a good life. Thank you so much for joining our weekly Torah Thought. We have classes here at Chabad. Thursday morning at 11 o'clock, Nechami gives a beautiful Parsha class. Thursday evening at 7:30, there's a class in Kabbalah based on the teachings of the Arizal. Saturday morning, we have a Kabbalah class at 9 o'clock based on the teachings of the Rebbe, followed by davening and followed by a Kiddush. We look forward to seeing you at one of the classes, and we definitely look forward to seeing you next week on our weekly Torah Thought. Shabbat Shalom.
It's Stein-O-Mite.